What's happening, friends? It's your boy Honky Kong, and I'm here to do a video today about what I consider to be an incident that was both tragic and inspiring at the same time. And I want to talk today about the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, that was attacked, and the Americans that were killed there. But in the process of giving their lives, they also saved the lives of quite a few people, almost 40 to be exact. So here it goes. This whole incident takes place, obviously, as I said, in Benghazi, Libya. The two key locations in this are the U.S. consulate in Libya, which was the operating base of U.S. Ambassador to Libya, Chris Stevenson, a guy who did a ton of work for the Libyan people, was instrumental in drumming up international support and getting Gaddafi out there. So he's actually very beloved by a lot of people in Libya, believe it or not. And the second location that's very important in the story is what's known as the CIA Annex, which was just a kind of a secret CIA base located basically a mile away from the consulate itself, where CIA kept some of their officers, and they did whatever they were doing over there. We'll get to that in a little bit. All right. So on the night of September 11th, 2012, the consulate came under very heavy attack. It's estimated between 125 and 150 very well-armed gunmen attacked the compound. When I say very well-armed, I mean they brought everything but the kitchen sink. All right, they had automatic weapons, grenades, RPGs, mortars. They even had truck-mounted anti-aircraft weapons, which are just gigantic machine guns, 25mm, 30mm cannons. They brought a ton of scunion to bear on the consulate. They came with overwhelming firepower. At the time, there were 7 Americans in the consulate, I believe. Okay, the consulate calls for help. They put out a call to the U.S. Embassy in Tripoli, which is the capital city in Libya, and they called the Annex, which is located about a mile away. Some dudes at the Annex, including guy named Tyrone Woods, who was a CIA security officer, they organize a QRF, which is known as a Quick Reaction Force. Just a bunch of guys, when the shit hits the fan, they're going to load up and they're going to go over there and try to help evacuate the consulate. So these guys get the call. 20 minutes into the assault, they're en route, basically, from the CIA Annex location to the consulate to relieve to try and rescue the Americans. They get there. They can't find Chris Stevens, the ambassador. They do find the body of Sean Smith, who was a foreign information management officer, something like that. I can't remember his exact title, but he worked with the ambassador. He was already dead. He had been overcome by fumes because they lit the consulate on fire. And Ambassador Chris Stevens also was overcome by fumes and smoke, being trapped inside of the consulate during the fire, because when the gunmen hit the consulate, not only they were attacking it with heavy weapons, but they also poured diesel fuel in it, or gasoline, and lit it on fire. So those two were killed. They did not find Ambassador Stevens' body then, but they did find Smith. Under heavy fire, the QRF team evacuates the few people that are at the consulate. They get out of there, and they're en route back to the Annex. While they're en route back to the Annex, they're getting lit up the whole time. The tires are shot out on their vehicles. Luckily, they're in armored Toyota Land Cruisers, which are designed to take that kind of beating for that mission. Unfortunately, they were followed by some of the Libyan gunmen. They followed them right back to the Annex. So they get back to the Annex, and around midnight, the CIA Annex comes under attack. Now, while this is going on, obviously, frantic calls for help are being put out all over the world to the embassy in Tripoli. In Tripoli, there's a gentleman named Glenn Doherty. He's another CIA security. He's an ex-Navy SEAL, along with Tyrone Woods, the guy who was back at Benghazi. They're ex-Navy SEALs. Now, in Tripoli, these guys are trying desperately to find a way to get to Benghazi and help out. There's two guys, active duty personnel from the Joint Special Operations Command, who are there, and 5 CIA security contractors. Now, the JSOC guys were more than likely probably Army Delta Force or Navy SEAL Team 6 guys. They never revealed their identities because they never revealed their identities. So those guys, the two JSOC commandos and the 5 CIA security contractors in Tripoli basically they have to bribe a pilot. They pay him $30,000 cash and pretty much force him to fly them from Tripoli to Benghazi. Okay. Meanwhile, the Annex is attacked at night. At midnight, as I said, the attack happens. They pretty much repel the attack during the night, and the CIA personnel there are safe. Now, there's the people from the survivors of the Benghazi consulate are at the annex, and along with 30 to 40 CIA employees who worked out of the annex, okay? So they repelled the attack at night. In the morning, the guys from Tripoli come in. Glenn Doherty and his backup, the 2 JSOC guys and the other security contractors, the CIA. They get there. Glenn Doherty finds his very good friend. They arrive at 5 in the morning. He finds his very good friend and buddy, Tyrone Woods, on the roof of the annex. Now, as soon as Doherty and the guys from JSOC get there, the compound comes under very heavy attack. The annex does. Comes under heavy attack within moments of them arriving. Doherty gets on the roof, finds his buddy Tyrone Woods. They exchange greetings, and immediately, within minutes, they're both killed by hits from a mortar team. The bad guys had mortars targeted in the roof, and both Woods and Doherty were killed defending the CIA annex. Very tragic story. Now, due to the efforts of these men and the other men that came from Tripoli and the Benghazi survivors, they were able to completely evacuate the CIA annex without any further loss of life. So the 4 Americans killed there were in Benghazi during the night of September 11th and the morning of September 12th were Sean Smith, the information officer, Chris Stevens, the ambassador, Glenn Doherty, and Tyrone Woods, both former Navy SEALs who were CIA security contractors. And Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty gave their lives to save the lives of close to 40 Americans. Very heroic actions under, they were fighting against overwhelming odds. These guys had M4 rifles, and they were coming up against basically heavy artillery. And they did an amazing job, and in the process of giving their lives, dying as heroes, they saved the lives of 40 Americans. So rest in peace to those heroes. And very, very tragic yet very inspiring what those men were able to do. They were able to accomplish a lot under very, very challenging circumstances. This story harkens back to the battle in Mogadishu in '93 with the Rangers and the Delta Force and the SEALs, basically against the entire city of Mogadishu, outnumbered, but yet they still managed to fight their way out. And that's what happened in Benghazi, to a much smaller extent. So now to the aftermath of the Benghazi crisis. With a couple days before this, some guy in California had released a film, an anti-Islam film, a film against Islam. Now, of course, you can release a film against anything you want, except against the Muslims, because them being the savage animals they are, not all of them, but millions and millions and millions of them, they obviously throw riots and complain and cry and chop people's heads off, reasonable types of objections and types of protests. The Muslims are known for being reasonable people. Like I said, not all, but millions of them. So the fucking the coward-ass Obama administration, and this is where I really start to lose a ton of respect for the Obama administration and our pathetic State Department. Hillary Clinton and Obama get on TV right immediately following the Benghazi incident and claim it was a protest of the film that had gotten out of control. They flat out, bald-faced lied to the American people. They would not admit it was a terrorist attack. Now, these are the same motherfuckers, this faggot Obama and this fucking stupid, ugly pig twat Hillary Clinton, who called the Fort Hood shooter workplace violence when he admitted he did it because he felt sympathy for Taliban and Al-Qaeda. He screamed Allah Akbar while he's doing the shooting. These are the same people that call that workplace violence. So it shows you what type of, disgusting individuals they are. So they get on TV, September 13, 14, 15, 16, the following days, and claim it was just a protest that got out of hand. Okay, generally when you protest, you don't do so with anti-aircraft weapons and mortars and RPGs. Well, maybe some Muslims do. But in this case, it was a coordinated terrorist attack. Flat out, bottom line, coordinated terrorist attack. And they would not admit that. They didn't want to admit it. Susan Rice gets on TV. At the time, I think she was the UN ambassador to the United Nations. I'm not even sure. She gets on TV and goes on all the talk shows and reinforces this. Hey, she was given talking points. And it's a big controversy on who gave her these talking points because nobody wants to admit who gave them to her. She goes on TV and says the same thing. She follows the party line. It was a protest that got out of control due to this film, blah, blah, blah. Instead of calling a spade, instead of saying, hey, these are just savage terrorists that attacked us, they want to blame it on a fucking movie that was made here in America against Muslims, because our administration doesn't want to hurt the feelings of Muslims, even though they constantly attack us. So that was, like I said, that was really the beginning of the end for me with my respect for this current administration. I gave them all the chances, and this is just, the first of many strikes. The junior varsity's running the country, and they keep fumbling. And this is the type of shit you get. So finally, at the end of September, I think it was around September 28th, September 29th of 2012, Hillary Clinton finally admits that the attackers in Benghazi had a possible link to Al-Qaeda. Oh, you think so, you stupid fucking bitch? You think so, Hillary Clinton, you fucking twat? Disgusting animal. And basically ever since then, people have been fighting for information to reveal exactly what was going on there. What were the CIA employees doing there? What happened in Benghazi? A lot of the things that have come up in the aftermath were there military forces nearby that could have helped out? Were calls for help from that consulate to the military denied? Were there American forces in Italy, which is very close by what happened? Could they have deployed there and made a difference? But nobody. And here's the very interesting thing. Here's the what I don't understand. What I really intrigues me. Nobody that was there that night, and there's 40-some people that survived this attack. Nobody that was there has spoken. None of the CIA employees have spoken either to Congress or to anybody, to reporters, media. Nobody's really told the truth of what happened, what their mission was. So a lot of this is open to conjecture. We really don't know 100% of what happened. We know a basic framework of what went down, but we don't know the particulars, and we don't know the whys. So I know there's been congressional hearings and this memo and that memo and this committee and that committee. So far, no fruit has been born from those efforts. So we'll stay tuned to see what happens. In the end, rest in peace to the 4 who lost their lives, and especially to the 2 brave security contractors, Doherty and Woods, who lost their lives in the process of protecting their fellow Americans. So rest in peace. And that's all I got. If you guys, know of anything on this, or have heard any different angles, I'd love to know. Hit me up, man. I'm out of here. Everybody be safe. Peace.